And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about if the Washington Commanders should make a trade on draft day for Tyreek Hill. So we're going to be talking about a Bleacher Report article that suggests that maybe the Washington Commanders could maybe make a trade and add Tyreek Hill at the wide receiver position. And so before we go ahead and jump into the content for today, first want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting a lot of wide receivers for many touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football here. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the content for today. And we are talking about something that is suggested here on Bleacher Report, and we're going to be talking about who the writer was. But I first initially saw this on sportsillustrated.com. It's under Washington Commanders, their section, and this was Darius Hayes, and it links you to an article that is on Bleacher Report, and it links you to this one, which is Mo Morton, and he's talking about 5 draft day trades that could possibly happen. And once again, these are all mock trades, and so this isn't anything that it's official or anything like that, but it does really start to make you think, like, could the Washington Commanders really make a play like this? And so talking about this and, really should they go for it, I'm thinking, man, it looks definitely entertaining, especially when you think about just maybe what it would take to get it done. And so again, go to that article. It's on Bleacher Report. And so this is what Mo Morton is suggesting in the article. He's saying, look, the Washington Commanders would trade over their 2025 second round pick, which is number 61 overall. They also would trade their 6th round pick, which is number 206. And in exchange for that, they would get Tyreek Hill. And then also, too, they would get a 2025 7th round pick, which is going to be pick number 53. And so you get a pick back, and you also get Tyreek Hill, who's 31 here. And so, look, this is what I'm going to say about this. And so initially when I'm thinking, if you have Tyreek Hill, you have Terry McLaurin, and you have Deebo Samuel, and then you pair that with Jaden Daniels, and this, I'm assuming that Jaden Daniels is going to get to another level. And I'm not saying that Jaden Daniels is the GOAT or, he's to the level of a Tom Brady just yet. Obviously, you got to win some more rings and stuff like that. But look, I start to think about the 2007 Patriots when they had Randy Moss, they had Dante Stallworth, and they had Wes Welker. I think that, man, you would really pair together some wide receivers that, look, if they're right, this could maybe be one of the most explosive offenses that we have seen in quite some time. I just think that when you look at what Tyreek Hill could do as far as just taking the lid off of a top of a defense, I mean, I think it would be ridiculous. I don't think that he's lost a step there. And I think he can just really can get a lot of separation still at the top of the route. Then you think about the fact that you would have Terry McLaurin, who can also take the top off of the defense, but he would be perfect as far as just really, I think, destroying defenses with the intermediate routes. Like, I think that Terry McLaurin, the way that he is just a route specialist, he would really put a lot of pressure on a defense that way. Then you think about that you have Deebo Samuel underneath, and he would just, I think he's going to be a player that's going to just rack up a whole bunch of yak yards, so yards after the catch. Then we're not even talking about factoring in, you have a player like Zach Ertz, who is going to be eating lunch at the tight end position. You have a guy like Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. And then, oh, by the way, you have to account for Jaden Daniels. If he doesn't get you with his arm, he could get you with his legs. This offense would just be a nightmare for, I think, opposing defensive coordinators. I just think that they would probably go into next year's league meeting and just say, how would you let a trade like this happen? Because I just think that if you were to be able to make a trade like this, or if the Washington Commanders did this, it would seriously put a lot of pressure on any defense out there. And you just add to the fact that if the Washington Commanders continue to add to their defense, it would be a scary scenario. And so, look, when we look at the numbers and just what Tyreek Hill did, look, this is I think, a down year for Tyreek Hill, and I still take this. And so, going to bring his numbers up here in a moment. But I'm just like, I would take this all day long. And so, just bringing it up, you can see this on ESPN.com. But man, look at this. This was a down year for him, 959 yards. That was his third lowest year. You see that he had in 2019, 860, and then 2016, 593. That was his rookie year. But still, 959 as far as the yards. He had an 11.8 average. He had 6 touchdowns in this year. And he also had 81 receptions on 123 targets that he played in 17 games. And I think that what we have to factor in too with what Tyreek Hill was able to do, this was with his quarterback being out. I don't know how many quarterbacks that the Miami Dolphins had to go through this last season, but they didn't have Tua the whole year. And so that's why I'm like, look, if you have Jaden Daniels out there for the entire year, you're with Terry McLaurin, who we know he is terrific at what he does. I mean, this is a guy that literally has gone for 1,000 yards each season, and only one season he didn't go 1,000. He was very close at 919 yards. You're pairing that with a 1,000-yard receiver, a great quarterback who I think is set to take another step forward. Like, I think that, again, this would be just an amazing trade if the Washington Commanders would do this. And I must say this, like, for the draft capital that you're giving up, it's not bad. But here is where I would just really caution this. Like, this is definitely an all-in type of move if the Washington Commanders were going to do this. I definitely think that, look, you're maximizing the window and what you have with Jaden Daniels on this rookie contract. But I would caution it because if you're going to give up this type of draft capital, and this draft capital is needed to continue to build, because as much as we talk about maximizing Jaden Daniels and his window right now, you still need to get players that are going to be with him for the next, 5-6 seasons once he does take a major contract with us. With Tyreek Hill, one of the things that he said, we don't know this, but he's saying that maybe there's the possibility that he would maybe want to retire once the contract is up. And so what that means is that currently right now he's on contract here. He's 31. He has another year after this, and then he might retire. And so you might only get him for 2 years, and you're giving up that type of draft capital. And so I think that would probably be the thing that you really have to think about when it comes down to Tyreek Hill. But when you look at the numbers and you look at this being maybe a down year and seeing what he can do, I think, look, for the draft capital, maybe you do have to take a chance if you're Adam Peters. And so anyway, let me know in the comments here, would you like to see the Washington Commanders make a trade that was suggested once again in this mock trade? And again, these are teams that could possibly make moves at the NFL draft. And he has the Washington Commanders taking a chance for Tyreek Hill. And again, the deal would be the Washington Commanders would get Tyreek Hill, a 2025 7th round pick, which is number 253. The Dolphins would get 2025 second round pick, which is number 61 overall. They also would get the 2025 6th round pick from the Washington Commanders, which is number 206. And so let me know in the comments, do you think the Washington Commanders would do this? Should we do this? And so anyway, as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.